Imagine opening a suitcase and finding a human body stuffed inside. Hands tied behind the back, a rope around the neck, a gag placed in the mouth to silence the screams. Now imagine finding not one, but two suitcases like this, abandoned on a quiet roadside, covered in thousands of flies, with dark liquid oozing out and soaking into the ground beneath them. The smell of death was so overpowering that grown men had to turn away. This was not a nightmare. This was real. This happened in Wisconsin in June 2014, and what investigators discovered inside those suitcases would reveal one of the most disturbing and sadistic killers America has ever seen. When Detective Jeff Recknagel arrived at the scene that summer day, he had no idea he was about to come face to face with pure evil. A road maintenance worker had been cutting grass along the rural highway when his equipment suddenly stopped. Something was blocking the path. Two large suitcases sitting in the tall grass. But these were not normal suitcases forgotten by travelers. The worker immediately knew something was horribly wrong. Swarms of flies, thick black clouds of them, covered both cases. The stench of decomposition filled the air for hundreds of feet in every direction. Dark fluid leaked from the zippers and pooled on the ground. When police carefully unzipped the first suitcase, the purple one, what they saw inside made even experienced detectives feel sick. A woman's body had been crammed inside, folded and compressed to fit into the luggage. Her hands were tied tightly behind her back with rope. Her ankles were bound together. A rope was wrapped around her neck multiple times, the knots tied with precision and care. A gag was lodged in her mouth, stretched wide open even in death. Black garbage bags were wrapped around her torso. But the most disturbing detail was her hand that had slipped out of the bags. The skin looked like old leather, dark brown and shriveled. The hand was mummified. This woman had been dead for a very, very long time, left inside this suitcase while the killer walked free. The second suitcase, the black one, contained another nightmare. Another woman, bound exactly the same way, rope around the neck, hands tied behind the back, gag in the mouth, the same precise knots, the same twisted method. Her body was in a different stage of decomposition, which meant she had died at a different time. This was not a single moment of violence. This was a pattern. This was a predator who had done this before and would likely do it again. Both women were completely helpless when they died. The ropes were tied so tight that they cut into the skin. The gags prevented any screams from being heard. The positioning of the ropes around their necks showed that they had been restrained slowly, deliberately, while completely unable to fight back or call for help. Someone had taken their time with these murders. Someone had enjoyed watching them suffer. Someone had kept one body so long that it started to mummify before finally leaving both victims on the roadside. Detective Recknagel immediately called for backup. His hands were shaking as he spoke into the radio. "We need every available unit here right now. We need to seal off miles of this area. We need search teams. We need cadaver dogs. We need everyone." The fear in his voice was clear. If this killer had murdered two women and disposed of them like this, how many others were out there? Were there more bodies hidden in the forests of Wisconsin? Were there more suitcases buried in shallow graves waiting to be discovered? And the most terrifying thought that nobody wanted to say out loud but everyone was thinking, was this killer finished? Or was he out there right now, hunting for victim number 3? Finding out who these women were became the first big challenge. Their bodies had decomposed badly. The police took general descriptions. They measured height and weight. They collected any details that could help identify them. They sent messages across the entire Midwest region. Police departments from many states responded. Missing person reports came from everywhere. The detectives created a chart and started checking each case one by one. The investigation team also studied the ropes carefully. They were very similar. Same size, same material. The ends were wrapped so they would not come apart. An expert at the crime lab studied these ropes because this was his specialty. After careful work, investigators took X-rays and checked dental records. The woman in the purple suitcase was Jenny Games. She was only 19 years old, from Cottage Grove, Oregon. Jenny was a junior college student. She grew up in foster care. Her father lived in another country and rarely contacted her. She had no relationship with her mother. On her social media, Jenny described herself as someone with no family. The woman in the black suitcase was easier to identify because of her tattoos. She was Laura Simonson, 37 years old, from Farmington, Minnesota. She was a single mother of 7 children. Laura's friend had reported her missing. The missing person alert had been sent to hotels and motels across Minnesota and Wisconsin. This friend knew a lot about Laura's plans. He knew she was going to Wisconsin. He even knew her passwords for different websites. Those passwords became the key to solving this mystery. The passwords led detectives to a shocking discovery. Both Laura and Jenny were using a meetup website, but not a normal one. This was a website for people interested in bondage and control. Laura and Jenny did not know each other. They lived in different states. They had different lives, but they were connected by the same man. Both women had been talking to a stranger online, someone who was looking for what he called a 24/7 slave for absolute ownership. But who was this mysterious man, and where was he now? Then came a big break in the case. A hotel manager in Rochester, Minnesota remembered something important. When the missing alert for Laura went out, one employee at the hotel recognized her. Even better, they had saved the security camera video. The video showed Laura checking into the hotel. But she was not alone. There was a man with her. The next day, this man checked out alone. He paid cash and took Laura's suitcase with him. At that hotel, 27 guests stayed that night. Only one person paid with cash instead of using a credit card. That person was trying to hide his identity. The camera caught him wheeling the suitcase out on a trolley. But nobody at the hotel knew the terrible truth. Laura was inside that suitcase, dead. Detectives followed Laura's online trail. The messages led them to a man who called himself Mr. Handcuffs on the bondage website. In one heartbreaking email, Laura had written to him, "If you wanted to kill me, no one would ever find me." Police tracked this Mr. Handcuffs to an apartment in West Allis, a suburb of Milwaukee. They put the building under watch. They placed tracking devices on his vehicle. The man living in apartment number 1 was Steven Zielik. Detectives waited for Zielik to come home from work. When he arrived, they knocked on his door. He invited them inside. They recorded everything. Zielik seemed calm and helpful. He admitted he knew Laura. He said they met on a website for people interested in bondage. He explained that people who practice this lifestyle tie each other up. They use ropes, tape, and handcuffs. They blindfold each other and use gag balls. He said the control and pain create excitement. Zielik's profile picture looked like a normal person, but his online profile told a different story. He wrote, "There is nothing better than a slave tied tight, gagged, blindfolded, hooded, chained, and caged." Zielik denied meeting Laura in person. But he was very cooperative. Maybe too cooperative. He gave police his DNA. Just a simple mouth swab. He even let them search his computer. What Zelig did not know was that his computer had software that automatically deleted data. It had run tens of thousands of times, erasing information. But Zelig made big mistakes. He did not know that Laura's computer still had all his emails. He did not know about the hotel security video. When the DNA results came back, they were shocking. The rope around Laura's neck had DNA inside the knot. That DNA belonged to Steven Zelig. Police got a warrant and searched Zelig's small, messy apartment. They found many bottles of bleach and cleaning supplies. This was strange because his apartment was very dirty, with black mold everywhere. In a closet, they found another suitcase. Inside were tools used for his twisted lifestyle. Handcuffs, ropes, duct tape, restraints. Then they found something else. A badge. Badge number 138. It belonged to the West Allis Police Department. Steven Zelig was a former police officer. Zelig had worked as a police officer for many years. His father had been a sergeant with the Milwaukee Police Department for 40 years. But Zelig's career ended badly. While on duty, he was accused of bothering women who worked at strip clubs. He would not leave them alone even when they said no. His former roommate, Jamie Bates, told reporters a disturbing story. She said Zelig once told her he kept a woman in a crate in his apartment for 7 years. He would leave her there during the day while he went to work. He would come home during lunch to check on her. Jamie said she moved out immediately after hearing this. When police brought Zelig in for questioning, he was still wearing his security guard uniform. He had become a security guard after leaving the police force. At first, Zelig tried to act like he was still part of law enforcement. Then the detective showed him the evidence, the DNA, the hotel video, the emails. Zelig finally admitted the truth. He said he met Jenny Games online in 2012. She flew from Oregon to Wisconsin. He picked her up at Milwaukee Airport. They went to a hotel in Kenosha. There, Zelig restrained Jenny. He blindfolded her and placed a gag in her mouth. He tied a rope around her neck. He called it a dangerous practice involving controlled breathing, restricting someone's airway until they almost pass out, then releasing. But this time, Zelig did not release. Jenny died. What Zelig did next was even more disturbing. He put Jenny's body in her suitcase. He drove it back to his apartment. Then he emptied his kitchen refrigerator and put her body inside. Jenny Games stayed in that refrigerator for over a year. Zelig said when the body started to decompose, it pushed the refrigerator door open. So he taped the door shut with duct tape. More than a year later, Zelig met Laura Simonson online. Before they met in person, he told her to do several things. Sell your van. Close your social media accounts. Stop paying your bills. Let your driver's license expire. Make yourself disappear. Laura followed his instructions. In November 2013, they met at a hotel in Rochester, Minnesota. Zelig did the same thing he did to Jenny. He tied Laura up. He gagged her. He wrapped a rope around her neck. Laura passed away the same way Jenny had. Zelig claimed both deaths were accidents. He said the breath play just went too far. But prosecutors did not believe him. District Attorney Michael Gravely said the evidence showed these were not accidents. Both women were gagged. Both had ropes around their necks. Both had their hands tied behind their backs. Both were blindfolded. He may call that accidental. I call it murder, the prosecutor said. After killing Laura, Zelig put her body in a suitcase and put it in his car trunk. It was winter, so the cold kept the smell down. He went back to his apartment and got Jenny's body from the refrigerator. He put it in another suitcase and placed it in his trunk, too. The final disposal, Zelik drove around with both bodies in his trunk for months. When the weather got warmer, the smell became stronger. He sprayed deodorizer to hide it. His supervisor at work noticed the terrible smell coming from Zelik's car. The supervisor told him the trunk smelled like there was a dead body inside. He said Zelik needed to take care of it immediately. So Zelik drove to a rural road in Walworth County. He left both suitcases on the roadside in tall grass. But what Zelik did not know was that he had continued using the bondage websites even after the bodies were found. Police were already watching him. In January 2016, Stephen Zelik pleaded guilty to first-degree reckless homicide for killing Jenny Games. In March 2016, he was sentenced to 35 years in prison. In court, Zelik said, "I am very sorry this occurred, and I am very sorry Jenny was the victim and I was not able to protect her." But the prosecutor saw through this. This is a person who has refused to take real responsibility for being the predator that he is, said District Attorney gravely. In February 2017, Zelik pleaded guilty to second-degree murder for killing Laura Simonson in Minnesota. He received 25 years in prison for that crime. In October 2017, Zelik was sentenced to 2 more 5-year terms for hiding both corpses in Walworth County. Jenny's mother, Joyce Gunseless, spoke in court by phone from Oregon. "She was the love of our life," she said through tears. "We have to sit and deal with this day after day. It is very hard." Laura's daughter Sarah, who was 18 years old, called Zelik a monster. She said, "While he rots in a cell, maybe he will realize what kind of pain and suffering he brought to so many people." Laura's sister Nikki Carlson also called him a monster. The family wanted to make sure he would never walk free again. All of Zelik's sentences were made to run one after another, not at the same time. This means 35 years for killing Jenny Games, 25 years for killing Laura Simonson, 10 years for hiding both bodies. Total, 70 years in prison. Stephen Zelik is currently held at Dodge Correctional Institution in Waupun, Wisconsin. He would be 122 years old before becoming eligible for release. This means Stephen Zelik will spend the rest of his life behind bars. He will die in prison. The story of Jenny Games and Laura Simonson teaches us important lessons about danger hiding in unexpected places. Both women were looking for connection. Both made choices that put them in terrible danger. The person they trusted was a predator wearing a mask of normalcy. Stephen Zelik was a police officer, someone sworn to protect people. But he used his position and knowledge to hunt vulnerable women. He carefully selected victims who had few family connections, women who would not be quickly missed. We must stay aware of the people we meet, especially online. We must trust our instincts when something feels wrong. We must check in with friends and family when meeting new people. Evil does not always look evil. Sometimes it wears a uniform. Sometimes it seems helpful and kind. Sometimes it knows exactly what to say. If this story made you think, please share it with others. Help spread awareness about online safety and the dangers that exist in our society. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Your share could save a life. Subscribe to our channel to be part of this journey of awareness and justice. Together, we can shine light on the darkness and protect those who might become victims. Remember, being careful is not being paranoid. It is being smart and staying alive. Stay alert. Stay connected with loved ones. Trust your instincts, because we never know when danger might be closer than we think.